president. So when you see me up in heaven, ain't no accident. I'm asking him to stop sex trafficking and African crime on African assassination, sin in the congregation, elder Satan, all to bring separation. Lord, you see everything that we facing Satan and all of his demons from confrontation. He want us to get impatient, want us to be a victim and fall in incarceration.
In the ancient days, the word of a king meant everything. It can mean life, it can mean your death. Daniel and his 3 comrades decide that the word of the Lord means so much more. They got the burn code on the inside of them, and compromise is not a part of their conviction. It's the burn code, Eminem 2.0. Let's go. We're hot, we're live, we're ready. Fire!
No.
It's the burn code. No, not that one? Okay. Well, we can't burn like that, so we'll burn in the right way then.
Yes.
Hey, episode 4 of the Burn Code, Eminem 2.0. We appreciate you for staying with us all this time, going through this mind-bending, life-altering journey with us. We've gone down the bunny hole pretty far.
Yeah,
Pastor
we went
Mike.
far the last time.
Yeah, we did. We made that left at Albuquerque, and it never seems to do us wrong, though.
Yeah.
Always keep making that left. So we're in a situation right now. I think they heard it in the intro, but we have a prophecy that's come to pass.
Yeah.
God's warned us not once, not twice, but thrice.
25 years in the making.
25 years in the making. We didn't hear it. Now we're in exile.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that's really messed up about it. The decisions of the adults then affect generations of children.
Yes.
So 70 years. This affects children. This affects their children.
Yeah.
So I make a bad decision and this affects my grandchildren.
Right, and we would like to think that we make a decision and it's only about me. And that's not the truth.
That's right.
Wherever you are potentially in some area of leadership or influence, you collaterally affect all of those people potentially that are behind you or under you.
Yeah, it's like, I was in the military, and so we used to do, strikes. Obviously in the war on terrorism. And so, you make these strikes on certain people or a certain household. But the thing you never know is what the collateral damage is going to be.
Right.
You
try to minimize it.
Exactly. You try as hard as you can, because the bottom line is war is absolutely awful. As much as you just want your enemy to be faceless and to be evil, they have family.
Right.
They have children.
Yeah.
They have brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And so your agenda becomes to minimize this damage. But the bottom line is it's war. They've decided to come a war against you or vice versa. And so an attack happens and there's damage of a collateral nature.
Right.
And so Jehoiakim and these prophets, they decide not to listen to God.
Right.
And there's damage of a collateral nature.
For false prophets.
Yeah, all the false prophets. Because they were telling them there will be prosperity in the land of Israel and for Judah.
Jeremiah came in with his yoke.
Right, with the yoke, and Micaiah the prophet.
Yeah, he breaks it. This is what's going to really happen.
This is how I will break the yoke of Babylon from your back.
Yeah.
And then what does Jeremiah tell him? You're going to be dead in 2 years.
Yeah, you're going to be dead. Now that will prove that he's the true prophet.
That it should have.
Yeah, I would have been.
He's dead in 2 years, and they still don't listen to him.
Yeah.
So now you have Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and can't remember, Azariah.
Right.
4 Hebrew boys are now taken captive. They're teenagers.
Yeah.
They've got their whole life in front of them.
Yeah.
They've got plans.
Royal descent.
Royal descent. They probably got a wife or two as an option for them and everything. They're getting ready to be governors.
Yeah.
How does all of this get ripped away because someone else makes a bad decision?
Yeah.
And so this is a situation we find ourselves in. They've now been exiled. They're now with a king who does not want them to be themselves. I mean, he wants everything good about them. You're royal blood. You're smart.
Right. He wants them to have the appearance that they are what they were supposed to be. But he, in fact, is trying to change that identity so that everyone else under them will now fall captive as a result of what he's done in them.
So I like what you said about it earlier. This is an old trick the enemy has played against the kingdom of God for a long time. Nebuchadnezzar, in this instance, is a Satan image, and Satan wants to take the people of God who are really in view of a lot of people.
Right.
He wants to take our so-called Christian celebrities
Yeah.
And he wants to corrupt them so that we go on ahead and we follow suit because this person has given a million good sermons. But then he gives that one sermon.
Yeah, but listen, because I can attest to this from a personal standpoint. You can start out good.
Yes, sir.
And your intent is to just be passionate about the things of God, love the things of God, and then you take your eyes off of God and you start now to pursue the celebrity. And that's where you go astray. You didn't start that way. Your heart was burning for God. But if you don't keep your eyes on God, you will go astray because the glitz and the glamour, people liking you, loving your prophetic gift, loving what God's doing here. Oh, I just love to hear him preach. He's such an incredible teacher. Oh, I'm telling you, he's on point. He's 100% with God. And we get tied up in that.
Yeah.
And rather than pleasing God, now we begin to want to please men.
Well, Pastor Mike, we're not just about problems on this show.
Right.
We got answers. And guess what? Daniel provides us the answer because Daniel is in this exact situation.
Right.
And this is how we're supposed to respond.
Right.
And so last time we left them, they're looking for these kids. And they want them exiled. They want them pulled into the kingdom to stand before the king.
Yes.
So verse number 5 of Daniel chapter 1, the king assigned a daily ration for them from his finest food.
Yes.
The best food Babylon got.
Yes.
Hey, why not? And from the wine, which he drank. Wait, this ain't just nobody's wine. This the king's wine.
Well, he drank it.
Yeah, what you drinking, king? Let me get a sip.
Yeah.
Let me get it.
Yeah.
They were to be educated. There it is, Dad. They were to be educated and nourished this way for 3 years.
Think about that word nourishing. Nourishing isn't something that's short. Nourishing is something that's happening over time. I'm building your liking of this diet. Your affections are happening over time. When this baby is getting nourished, you're not handing him a steak saying, eat this.
No.
You're handing him something he can't digest. And how many Christians are being handed things, they're going, yeah, that's okay. I think God's okay with that. And so it's these little things. You start off with milk, and you want it to thicken it up. So we want them to go to sleep. We want that baby to stay asleep. So we add some cereal to it, and the devil is busy putting Christians to sleep and putting leaders to sleep, and he's adding things to thicken that milk so we will continue to be nourished by that demonic king.
You know what I realized about the milk? You want the child to drink the milk now so that they can eat the steak later. It's really amazing, though. The milk comes from the steak. You want him to drink the milk from the cow first.
Exactly.
And you bring him along long enough, he'll eat the cow.
Exactly.
You want him to drink the milk from the goat long enough.
Yeah.
You bring him along, he'll be willing to eat the goat. What? You've been drinking the milk all this time.
Having to go at me.
Oh, wow. I shouldn't have introduced that. So sorry, Matrix Universe. But it's really amazing. That word nourishing, they need to be me.
It's the process.
It's a process.
Right.
It's a process we should go into our faith. You know, you're eating the king's food, you're drinking the king's wine. What do we have that mimics that? We have communion
of the word.
Yeah, and then we also have communion with Jesus Christ. We eat of his food, which is his body.
Yeah.
We drink of his wine, which represents his blood.
Yeah.
He wants them to have communion with him, be educated by him, to take him in so that the mind Nebuchadnezzar has is also in them.
So, which king is nourishing you?
We've already done the king's code. No, but which king is nourishing you?
Yeah.
Which king is feeding you?
Yeah.
Is it Jesus or is it Nebuchadnezzar?
Yeah.
Again, we got answers on here, so we're going to find out. Among them, from the sons of Judah, were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. The commander of the officials gave them Babylonian names. So Daniel was Belteshazzar, Hananiah was Shadrach, Mishael was Meshach, and Azariah was Abednego.
Right.
Oh, but I love this. Daniel's resolve, that burn code. Because if you have something burning on the inside of you, when something external comes at you, that resolve that's on the inside of you is not going to let that just suddenly taint you.
Right. Just because you've been taken out doesn't mean you get taken over.
Wow. That's huge. Daniel made up in his mind.
Where?
In his mind.
Okay.
So before the king got to it,
Yeah.
got to his mind, he already made up a decision in his mind that he would not defile, and in the Amplified it says taint or dishonor himself. Here's the thing, with the king's finest food or wine. So it's the king's best,
Right.
but it can defile you.
Which king?
Oh,
You see,
this king prepared a table.
this king. This king feeds us. And there are times he will prepare a table in the presence of our enemy.
Yes.
That king, when we're nourished by him, gives us spiritual strength.
Okay, amen.
When we're nourished by the proxy king,
Oh, the one that want to be king.
the one who wants to
pretender.
be king, that robs us of our kingdoms.
But it's the best, Pastor.
Yeah.
Pastor Mike, no, come on now. It's the best.
It's the
And don't
best.
God want me to have the best?
He does.
Because I got to live your best life.
Don't you even do that. All right.
I want you to live it now.
Yeah.
I couldn't help it. So he asked the commanders of the officials, don't give me this good life that the world got.
Right.
That he would be excused not to defile himself. How about this? God grants Daniel favor in the hall of his enemy. The man that has taken him captive told him, you gonna bow, you gonna serve. God gives him favor with this guy because Daniel refuses to compromise because the burn code is in him.
It's about not compromising. And see this, even though the situation has Daniel in a place that he shouldn't be, it's the result of this collateral damage that you talked about earlier. God has a way that even when leadership makes a mistake and you end up in exile, God can still give you favor because you have not compromised.
Wow. And so God grants Daniel favor and compassion on the side of the commander and officials. So Daniel explains to him what he wants to do. And the official says, bruh, I like you and all, but I'm scared of that fool that's running everything. Because if you haven't noticed yet, it's not all there.
Right.
I'm scared of Nebuchadnezzar. So verse number 11, Daniel said to the overseer, whom the commander of the officials had appointed over Daniel and his homeboys. I'm sorry, that's not in the Bible. Please test your servants 10 days. Give me 10 days. I'm not going to tell you to do this all for me to 3 years. I want you to try my God and see.
Right.
What's 10 days, Dad? Isn't that a type?
You mentioned 3 years.
Come on.
The enemy is patient.
Wow.
He's not trying to do it all at once. He's not trying to just get you to abandon your faith all at once. He's not trying to get you to just compromise what your beliefs are, what your doctrine is, what your standard is. He's patient. They had a program set up that was going to be 3 years. 3 years of indoctrination. 3 years of reteaching, retooling.
3 years of nourishment, what they call it.
3 years of nourishment.
Nourishment, what they call
And the
it.
devil is patient. Don't think you will just see his little horns and his red suit and you go,
Look at
that's
the devil.
the devil.
Look at him.
No,
That's him.
No. He's going to come alongside you with somebody who's dressed like another church person. And they're going to say, well, my pastor say so-and-so. And because it's in your heart to do it, all of a sudden the words of their king become your words.
Wow. Daniel asked for him to give him a tithe. 10 days.
Okay.
So, give me 10 days.
Right.
10 days all we need. Hey, look, if my God don't show up, Daniel, what's the burn code like where Daniel just say, if my God don't show up in 10 days, you can do what you want with me, player.
Right. Yeah.
What type of bravery is that? Because at the end of this 10 days, this man could legitimately just say, you know what, this didn't work out, y'all can die.
Yeah, you're looking rough. Because
I'm not
this
taking
guy
you before the
knows
king.
that if you don't look good, the king is going to say, what's going on with them? And you go, well, he wanted to eat something different.
What did I tell you to do?
And he knows that the king will have his head literally.
Quite so.
Yeah. And so Daniel, this is the passion of a believer.
That's the burn.
This is that regardless of what's going on around me, I'm just going to believe God.
That's that ratchet faith.
Yeah,
I don't care. I don't care.
No, I'm just going to believe, because this is why you spend time in his presence. This is why you spend time with him, because it gives you a confidence. That's what the scripture says. This is the confidence we have.
We have.
And the problem we have is that we have no confidence because we're not spending time with him.
So we're not intimate, therefore we don't have confidence, therefore it can lead us to just get nourished by the enemy, go after other gods, to do all of these things that God doesn't want us to do.
Yeah. Can you imagine that? We talked about that early in one of the early episodes. Why should your wife have confidence in you in the relationship if she knows you've got all these side girls? She's not sure whether you're going to do for them before you do for her.
That's rough.
But that's the kind of relationship we want to have with God.
It is.
I've got all these side gods. I've got all these other things that are more important than you are, but I want you to have confidence in me. But the truth is, we have no confidence in him.
In God. Here's what's really amazing. If you read the rest of the chapter, the end of our story is Daniel and his 4 comrades, they get the victory.
Yes.
10 days go by, and God shows up. They look better than everyone else who's living their best life in the world. I'm so sorry to say. They're eating the finest of the king's drink and his wine, because it's the finest that he has, but it's not the finest that God has.
And that's the thing we've got to do. We've got to know that when God prepares delicacies for us, this is the best that he has. We don't always necessarily like what he's put on the table.
Hey!
But guess what? It's what's best for us.
I didn't like everything you put in front of me.
Yeah, well.
And then you said, eat it, sucker. And I ate. I was, yeah, you're a rough guy.
Wow.
But nevertheless, I like this analogy. Here's the king's table. And to everyone else in the world, it's the best.
Right.
It's the finest. But we have a different king.
Right.
And he prepares a table before us in the presence of our enemies.
Yeah.
So everything, the reason they're their enemies was because they're looking at this table our king has prepared, and it doesn't look good. Everything on there, it doesn't look great. It doesn't look edible. I don't want to eat that. That's not sweet enough. What is that? Green? I can't have all that.
You know that's not in my diet.
You know that's not in my diet. Exactly. That gives me heartburn. We got all these reasons why we don't want to eat at God's table. But yet we want goodness and mercy to follow us all the days of our life. And so it's the best part I love about this burn code. Daniel's conviction is savage.
And that conviction makes him convinced that God is not going to let him down.
And so this is episode 4 of the burn code. I think we have one episode left, but we have episode 5 coming up. Listen, if you like everything that you're hearing, go on ahead and like the video. It helps us with the YouTube algorithm and all of the other geometry and things that YouTube does. If you have a comment to share, but look, share your comment with us. We love to read them. We love to go through them, and we answer you back. And if you enjoy what you're hearing, guess what? Somebody else probably needs to hear it too. Share the gift of Eminem 2.0 with somebody in the kingdom or outside of the kingdom. They got to hear the word too. Eminem 2.0. We'll be right back with episode 5. See you then.
Crime on African, assassination, sin in the congregation, hell we
This is an M&M 2.0 circuit break.
We face it, Satan and all of his demons, conversation, want us to get impatient, want us